Welcome to another exciting episode of Pixels to Politics. I am Dougie, and sadly, neither of my co-hosts are here tonight. One is sick, and the other is off fighting Nazis. Still going to be a very exciting episode. We have Tom here, my brother. We have my friend Meowing Cat, and some exciting topics involving influencer drama because who doesn't know about MrBeast? Our classic politics, some gaming stuff, and the Olympics. Very busy time here in the world during this month. How fantastic. Boys, how are you doing today?
Pretty good. How about you?
I'm fantastic. Ian, Meow and Cat, how are you?
I want to watch the world burn.
It is
Yeah, let's
burning
do it.
live. It is burning live on Twitter every day. You can see it
That
live.
is true. It's been on fire recently.
So we have. I'd love to just start with YouTuber drama because it's the hot topic for podcasts and YouTube videos and just anyone, anywhere, all the time. But yeah. So Mr. Beast's best friend, and if you don't know who Mr. Beast is, I think he's the biggest, the most subscribed to person on YouTube, right?
I think he might have become the most subscribed to channel now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think did
Overall, like
he
everything.
did he beat Team Series?
he
I think
did.
he
Yeah,
went above T
it's a
series
big
again.
deal.
So he's just biggest
Wow.
channel, like period. No like
Yep.
biggest individual, nothing like that. He's number one.
Yeah, he's the
Number
number one.
one.
His best friend, right? Or
Yeah,
or
long time
Well,
yeah.
used to
partner in
be
content,
partner.
good friend, Ava, Chris, Tyson.
Yes, it's come out that
Sounds
he
good.
was messaging a
They,
14-year-old, I think.
she, they.
She,
Go
they.
ahead.
Yeah, sorry, whatever. This will it'll play into the upcoming parts because anyways, biggest YouTuber, his friend, someone who partakes in all of his videos, um, turns out he's a pedophile, or the evidence against him is that he talks very inappropriately or has talked inappropriately with children. Um, so whatever, that's big deal on its own. But what I wanted to talk about, and my favorite part, was another streamer named Sneako, who I hate, by the way. He's totally obnoxious and kind of a moron. Um, much smaller than Mr. Beast. Called out all the other streamers and YouTubers and influencers and blah 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 for not saying anything about this guy, Chris, Tyson, or Ava, even though everyone was really quick to jump on the Doctor Disrespect train.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, Tom, are you a lore master, or should I give a quick kind of rehash on?
So I know everything about the Doctor Disrespects. I kept track on that one. The last thing I just saw was that he posted a random banner on his Twitter.
I'm not up to date with the banner, but I've kind of been following the Ava Tyson thing. So Ava Tyson, I think it's Ava Chris Tyson, Kris Chris. I think it's she her, not even they, but I mean I know either go like their preferred or just gender neutral shit. Um, they are they've been with Mr. Beast for a long time, and obviously, the Doctor Disrespect thing came pretty recently. There's now a whole thing that blew up about Ava kind of messaging and being friends with I believe, 14-year-old at the time, while Ava was around 20, 21 or so. And so they were kind of having these interactions that, it wasn't inherently necessarily predatory, but definitely everyone agrees inappropriate at the very least. So there's a lot of kind of on that scale of comparison to the Doctor Disrespect thing of he was messaging this 17-year-old, potentially I believe maybe possibly a little bit younger, but speculated kind of later teens in a sexual manner, and it seemed like he had some potential intent there, so people were really disgusted by that. And so there's people kind of saying it's a little bit different here. There's other people saying it's completely the same. Um, it doesn't, and it's a very murky situation. I think everyone kind of agrees it's just kind of fucking weird. um, and then, but there's this whole discourse that's evolved from it because Ava is obviously a trans person and a very public figure in that being part of Mr. Beast crew. and there's just a whole bunch of shit with that now. So people are saying kind of scapegoating the whole trans community. And then there's also this discourse about dead naming and transphobia that's also been happening off of that. It's just like 800 things piling on one after another, and it keeps on evolving. But we can go from there, I guess.
I don't know. I think it's way simpler than that. I don't think it had to devolve into madness. It's really simple, right? If we're all gonna jump on Doctor Disrespect for things that we didn't even get to see, we just heard that he talked to a 17-year-old inappropriately, maybe planned to meet up at Twitch or some shit. We don't even know. We didn't see screenshots or anything. But there's so many receipts on Ava. Like, it's ridiculous how kind of like inappropriate the shit that we've seen come out from his mouth and like his previous content and the screenshots taken. Like, it's so bad in comparison, and yet there's like this whole pause of, wait, guys, stop! You're misgendering this person, or you're just hating on him because it's just, or her because they're trans. It's just like, dude, uh, I don't like. I'm not like for misgendering, but at the same time, if you take a look at that situation and that's like your biggest concern, I'm I'm gonna question you a little bit, to be honest. Like I get it, but at the same time, when you're Pokimane and Valkyrae and Moist Critical, I don't think Moist actually said anything when it came to the misgendering thing. I think he actually got in trouble for misgendering too, but like when you have that much influence and people are looking at you and you're so quick to jump on somebody else who we didn't really see evidence for, to be honest. And I'm sure what he did was wrong. Like, he obviously got in a lot of trouble for it, but we didn't see it. We just kind of got to take it for what it's worth, for what we saw happen as a result. But I mean, the Ava person is fucked up. Like it's so fucked. Like, it's not even close. They're like a well-known lolly lover. They have like a poster or like content they were paying from a known pedophile, like, who draws like, I don't know. It's just like child porn. He drew child porn, and this Ava
Yeah.
person had ordered like the evidence against this person is so insane, but like everyone treads so lightly on it. They're like, oh, look, yes, this person is a bad person, but we really don't want to start misgendering them or bringing in the trans factor. And it's like, yeah, okay, but like, dude.
I mean,
What-
yeah, a lot of what you said is definitely very valid.
On point to the key. But he was already in. Everyone was already mad at Chris, aka Ava. I like calling him Chris. I don't know his actual other names. But everyone was already mad at him because he dressed his son in high
Mhm.
heels and tried to turn him into a girl as well. Or so much so the picture was him fully dressed in a dress and high heels, and everyone was like, "Oh, look, you already messed everything up." And so everyone was already mad at him. So it's just this just adds on top of more to this. So it's just double the hit. That's why he's taking more hits than Dr. Disrespect, because he was already on like everyone's. He was already part of the drama in the very beginning, so everyone's just now tired of Chris.
I mean, there's
Until this
definitely
happened.
some points that are, yeah, like the doc thing. We don't have all the details. A lot of it was
Any
speculative
any of the
compared to.
details.
So, I mean, not to derail too much from Chris thing, but docs is a bit weird because there's a lot of insider information that we just don't have full receipts of in
Mhm.
comparison. I will say for Ava, there is a lot of fake information that was kind of debunked already, and so a lot of people have this kind of perception that's a little bit a little bit incorrect. Although a lot of the shit was true, to my knowledge at least. The whole like fucking lolly artist thing. Now, to play devil's advocate, I don't know how much is I don't know much about the artist who drew. I don't even think it was lollies. It was more like straight up like kind of like
It was just child porn.
art of CP. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really know how much of that was before, after, during. I'm guessing they probably did like edgy shit for a long time, or just like straight up like not even edgy, just fucked up shit for a while. The artist. So I'm guessing that was kind of their demographic already. And maybe they did lolly stuff before, and that's when Ava, ordered from them. And to be fair, MrBeast and Ava both were just really fucking edgelords back in the days. And so a lot of it is playing into that kind of edgelord character, which, I mean, to be fair, almost anybody online with a footprint you can dig up some shit for. And so, benefit of the doubt on those situations, you could just say, hey, fucking weird.
Yeah.
But it's not like they're going around 2024 supporting someone drawing CP or, like, renditions of it. But what is known is, the receipts of just talking to this 14-year-old that were weird. Now, nothing illegal happened to, everyone's the best of everyone's knowledge. MrBeast hired a third person or a third party investigator into it. The
Good.
person who was formerly 14, now I believe they are 20. They have come out and said, hey, nothing happened. It was kind of just edgy jokes. Regardless of, it may be a little bit inappropriate, but I don't feel predated on at all. And a lot of people are saying, hey, that's kind of how grooming works. You don't really feel that way because you were kind of groomed. And, you can, it's definitely inappropriate jokes to make around someone that age. And it is kind of weird if you're 20 to be hanging out with a 14-year-old and making those kinds of jokes, especially. I do know in a lot of online circles, communities, especially with like Discord popping off, there's a lot of age mixing in, those kinds of friend groups and stuff. And so it's definitely fucking weird. And I do also recall they did allude to it's a good thing. I believe their name is Lava, the person who was the kind of main person of this story with Ava. They said something along the lines of, I'm happy MrBeast is investigating it because there's definitely stuff to investigate. Not paraphrasing or quoting it exactly. It was kind of a very loose interpretation of what they said. But it did seem like there might have been stuff going on with MrBeast crew that really should be looked into. And so I kind of want to wait and see what that's about. In the meantime, I think it's good that Jimmy Beast cut ties with Ava. I do think the whole misgendering, transgender community thing, I do think that a lot of it was just straight up transphobia from people online, especially Twitter. Twitter's just become such a shithole recently. I mean, just also like the racism on Twitter has been ramped up to crazy amounts. Like whether you're like, a wokey or whatnot, like if you go on Twitter, you're gonna see a lot more racist shit than you would, or in like edgy jokes and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that it's gone a little bit too far past like the point of correction that some people wanted. It's along a little bit too far that way, and so I think the transphobia and the like intentional misgendering and being just disrespectful about that and like drawing all trans people that way is just kind of fucking whack. Like, Dr. Disrespect did fucked up shit. You're not going around saying all white men are pedophiles now. It's kind of like saying like all trans people are pedophiles is also like just not very genuine in that sense.
My only counterpoint is like it's the internet, and like in an alternate world we can live in where the internet is completely moderated. I mean, we kind of saw what that looks. We know what that looks like. It doesn't end up looking good because the system just ends up being abused. And so, dude, I don't know if you're gonna exist on the internet, you kind of gotta understand that like there's a lot of idiots and people are just gonna say the dumbest shit and they're just gonna try and piss you off. And X is just like the worst part of the comment section of any website on the planet. Like it is just it's not just the comment section. It's like if the comments could have comments, could have comments, could have comments. Like, dude, it's just a cesspool of nonsense. So like it's gonna be really easy for any influencer or somebody to dodge this bullet and make it about trans rights because there's always going to be some knucklehead who goes on there and says, I knew it the whole time. They were tranny. Like, in my opinion, like if you have a lot of followers and you're a really big influencer, you really need to like rise above that tide. And I mean, you could have done it separately. You could have been like, look, obviously what's going on here with the Ava situation is fucked up. Like, it's bad. Like, it's not good. And then on a separate post, been like, wow, it's crazy how many transphobes there are. Like, it could have been a separate issue, but like they didn't make it a separate issue. It was it was like, well, wow, the Ava person is pretty gross, but wow, look how much worse all the transphobia is. This is crazy, isn't it, guys?
Yeah.
No, like
And
that. Sorry, go ahead.
nah, I totally get what you're saying, but at the same time, a lot of the discourse from very large creators on X and off the platform have been about that, the topic of Ava being trans. And so, like, yes, ideally, anyone kind of covering it would do that, but at the same time, it's an integral part of the whole situation at this point because, the large creators that are transphobic or just being disrespectful, either one, they are very large creators that are doing it.
Well, I assume you're talking about like Tate and Sneako, right? Like the obvious big two.
Yes, and I mean, obviously those are the big two, but I think I'm not sure about this situation of like Nick Merckx and all those
Oh
other
yeah, they've
guys
come
have
out.
been hopping on it too.
Sure.
I mean, there's a lot of large people that are saying it, so I think it's valid enough to kind of mention it, but I don't think anyone is taking away like, hey, it's disgusting. And I mean, that also ties into kind of the time frame of everything. Everybody responded to the Ava situation the same time or faster than they did to the Doc situation, and
I
kind of
disagree.
waiting. I mean, it's just factual that Charlie, he responded, he uploaded on the second channel early, and then made the video. I believe the same time. I'm not sure if it was slightly before or after, but in a very similar time frame, kind of I believe 24 hours or so after the story initially dropped.
But
And
Pokimane and
so
Valkyrae, they delayed it, and they even dropped excuses for delaying it. So I'm,
yeah, I'm not
yeah,
too sure about them specifically, but
I am.
I know Moist Charlie is a big focus of it,
Mm-hmm.
and I know for him specifically, he was like talking about it in the same time frame.
Yeah,
Um, the Doc situation is a bit weird in the sense that there was a whole story and a lot of speculation beforehand, and then a lot of information came out all at once, and it was kind of like, okay, we're probably not going to get anything more than this. Compared to, and a lot of people waited until the Doc response, and that's when they kind of started talking about it and making videos and stuff.
Did you
The
read
Ava
Did you
situation
read the
was
tweet? The Twitter? Did you read what he tweeted?
Doc
Yeah.
recently,
No,
or
no, not recently. Beforehand, with the big explanation of what happened, where he
yes, my memory isn't the best on it.
so he put it so he had minor in the beginning. They switched to individual, and
oh
they put
yeah.
minor again. Yeah, yeah. That was the biggest catch. But anyways, so with that one, with the Twitter, it was all the way down. But in the paraphrase, he basically admitted it, but not admitting at the same time. It's like inappropriate things did happen, but it didn't go all the way or something like that. But after that tweet, he just disappeared from the internet, and he
Yeah,
goes, "I'm leaving." He's just
and
gone.
so I think that the Doc situation was kind of, there was already a lot of speculation and a lot of like kind of stuff surrounding it. People waited for the info to pop, and then it was kind of like, all right, here's his response, let's go. Ava hadn't made any kind of response yet, and it was a lot more of a trickle information with that whole situation. And so I feel like a lot of people were kind of just waiting to see, like, hey, what's going on here? Let the individual speak up about what happened, and then kind of cover it because, a lot of them have. I know Charlie, Moist Critical, Ludwig is another one who was kind of called in. He was on vacation when that happened, and he's like, "Hey, I'm with my family, guys. I'm gonna cover it, but you're gonna have to wait a little bit. Like, chill."
I love Ludwig. He's so funny. I watch him
Yeah,
daily.
but a lot of those people were getting a lot of shit for not being as fast to it. And Charlie was covering it on his live stream. He uploaded it to a second channel. I would already say that's like, hey, like he already covered it. Like uploading a second channel, obviously not gonna have the same viewership that it will on the main channel, but like they didn't even have the same kind of time frame on it. I don't know about Valkyrae and Poki. They might have just kind of waited a long time. And to be fair, there is the whole devil's advocate of the situation of Doc messaged this minor potentially with the intent of having a sexual relationship, and it was in a predatory manner, while Ava was kind of just being an edgelord around a kid and just being inappropriate. You can, I have seen some people make the argument that it's not the exact same. Doc's might be worse. Either way, I think both are fucked up. Um, but like at the same time, making edgy jokes around a minor, I don't know if that's enough to be like, this person shouldn't be able to exist anymore. That's not the same as like, hey, I'm trying to have sex with a minor.
I think buying lolly porn from a known child porn developer is sin enough, to be honest
Okay,
with you.
that shit's just fucking weird.
Right.
I don't know. Well, see,
Do-
and I don't know the time frames of all that.
You're right
But
that
like,
maybe it was just some kind of joke, and maybe it's just like I mean I'm not even gonna bother trying defending that boat, but that guy it recently came out that he had like 16 terabytes of CP, and he actually worked for Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon. So I
oh, is
mean,
that the
what
same guy?
I'm pretty sure it's the same guy. Like I'm like 98% sure it's the same guy. I was thinking about it a little earlier. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, because I don't remember reading the names. But pretty sure it's the same fucking guy. What I do know is it is the same guy who drew child porn of um, Keemstar's daughter or some shit, like 8-year-old daughter or some fucking crazy nonsense.
Oh yeah, that person should not be allowed on the internet. Like they should
They
be like
should be
honestly
killed.
in
They should
jail.
be killed.
Well, I don't. Look,
Sorry.
I'm not for the death sentence, but like
I
I'm
am.
for like
Sometimes,
throwing.
sometimes it has to happen.
I don't know. I don't think I'm ever for a death sentence, but like, because that's a
Oh,
permanent thing, and like, I don't trust the judicial system to make it right 100% of the time. I don't think you can have a death penalty without 100% certainty, and I don't trust our
We're
judicial system
100%
to have
sure.
that.
We're 100%
But
certain.
we're 100% sure this person did shit. I think they
Yeah,
should be just locked up in fucking a
that's fair.
box
I'm not
in
gonna
a
like
dark
clean.
cell
Yeah,
and like never see them again.
it's fine.
They should not be around the public.
If you aren't for capital punishment, that's totally fine. It's totally respectable. I completely understand. I'm being a little
But yeah, throw them
facetious,
in a
but
box. Throw them in a box and
only a
never
little
let
bit.
them see the sun again.
It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. So again, like I don't. You're kind of right where it's like none of these things are really illegal or like totally crossing the line. But in my opinion, the combination of them is a little deadly. Like it's a little
It's just
suspicious.
fucked up. I mean, to be fair, saying that they
Probably
should
just
be
trauma.
deplatformed is completely valid. Like they were
Yes.
making inappropriate jokes about a minor. They supported an artist who is very involved with like at the very least, basically like drawing CP, right? Like
Hmm.
especially like the way that they like from what I've heard of this artist, like completely fucked. You're
Yeah.
supporting this person and like regardless of the time frame, like like it's there's enough there that like hey having them kicked from the Beast crew definitely seems like the right choice. I think Lava themselves have said like Mr. Beast kicking Ava is the right choice, and so I don't I think that Mr. Beast is kind of like hey, let the third party investigation look into this, see what's going on here. If anything illegal actually happened, then he can speak up on that or like potentially go down the legal system. Other than that, I think Mr. Beast doesn't really hold too much fault. Like, it's not him that did anything. He had made edgy jokes in the past before, and but other than that, like, I mean, I don't think that's like he should be canceled. People are like,
They're
"Hey,
trying
Mr.
really
Beast."
hard to tag him right now and
They're
go crazy
super. They
for
try to
sure.
cancel him with the shopping incident. They've been trying to cancel him from since not
It's
day
just
one, but like it's been a while.
clickbait interaction.
Yeah, 100%. Like this man's just trying to collect trash out of the seas. That's
Also,
all he's doing.
yeah, he does a lot of good, which I think outweighs the kind of edgy shit he's done in the past. I mean, he's made like, kind of like edgy racist jokes in the past, and it's fucked up. I think I don't know if he's like straight up apologized for it before. I mean, he's obviously changed,
He,
but
Oh yeah,
who cares?
his
The shit he said is like the most tame out of anyone I've ever met. I think Pokimane has said worse things than him. Like,
play the clip, guys. Play the pokey clip.
I wish. Normally Braden is our fucking Jeremy, but he's not here right now, so it's unlucky. But
Uh,
like, dude, I don't know. I've watched
no.
some of the content. It's popped up my feed. It's like, oh look, Mr. Beast said that he'd buy a black person for 69 cents. Get him. It's like, dude, like, what the hell are you on, man? Like,
And
it's like,
a lot of that kind of what we were talking about with X before, how the platform has kind of devolved. I think a lot of it, but aside from just kind of like, the right wing people kind of being promoted there a lot more because of Elon and everything, I think a lot of it has to do with Twitter monetization and how they handle it now with Twitter Blue promoting that. A lot of people who really want that visibility will buy Twitter Blue and then farm and like engagement farm now because you can make revenue off Twitter.
oh yeah,
And so they will post the most heinous shit to get interactions to make revenue, and that is straight up like there are people that are doing it. Basically, just like troll farms that are like just fucking like engagement baiting for money.
Okay, but like I feel like you're being a little harsh on X. One, it's the closest thing we'll ever get to a free speech platform, mainstream on the internet. And two, like Twitch streamers, you know them females, they really love a little. And there's currently a breastfeeding meta on YouTube. Like
Oh,
you're and like in my opinion, the manipulation tactics to get engagement on X are very simple things. You're right. It's like troll baiting, right? Like it's rage baiting. It's fine. It's not a big deal. Me as an adult and most people who are adults, if you're engaging, like that's on you, bro. Like if you haven't figured out that's how the internet works and you're just going to talk to some random guy named like freaking, I don't know, Dog Chaser 2000, like you're taking that guy's opinion very seriously, like that's on
Yeah,
you.
but I
That's
think that there is the counterpoint that like it really is kind of it's a bit of a dog whistle, and it's like letting these other people that have these kinds of views that are really fucked up to feel more comfortable with them, to kind of act out on them more. It makes I think the whole discourse and especially the U.S. society as a whole. A lot of X is kind of U.S. centric. I think it makes the kind of it just makes everything a lot more divisive, and at the same time, there are just kind of fucking loony, mentally ill people, that aren't being watched properly, don't have the proper kind of support system around them, that are looking at this shit, and they're taking it and running, and like they are either just committing hate crimes or just being really fucking weird about it. So there is that to it, and I agree with you. If you're an adult, you can just ignore it, but like a lot of these people don't have that capacity, and so it really should be moderated properly. I mean, to be fair, if you look at X now, they will moderate, like, they've gone the other way where they will moderate people kind of being wokies, too woke and shit. I think the term cisgender is like a flag term now.
Is it really?
Someone got like suppressed for saying like, I think the Andrew Tate tweet where he like popped off saying like, shut up, N-word.
Mm-hmm.
He said that, and someone replied, like shut up cisgender or something like that, or like you're cisgender. I think it was just you're cisgender, and they got suppressed. And it's like, I would like a freedom of speech platform, but like I think X has kind of fucking gone a little far, bro. Like,
You might be right. I did see some shit recently that was saying the same thing. However, I think it's total bullshit that the difference between X, Twitch, and YouTube is that X mostly is adults. I think it's like 6% of the users on X are under the age of 18. Versus on YouTube and Twitch, you have like most of that viewer base is probably like 20 and under, and they promote like sexual themes all the time. And so people go on X and they're like, look, they're saying the N word. And then you go on like Twitch and there's women who are standing on these like shaky platforms and their tits are bouncing and a bunch of 13-year-olds are watching it. It's like, hello? Uh, and like one is moderated by some grown ass men, right? And the other one is moderated by like women and, typically like woke people. And it's just like, I'm not really like for one or the other, but I think the imbalance here in criticism is fucking hilarious because I think a lot of people do the same thing where they're just like, look at X, it's a cesspool, and it's like, okay, but like look at Twitch and YouTube, like this is so crazy.
yeah.
Like Twitch is
Well,
disgusting. Open up a Twitch page right now, go to their own page, and like the first thing you'll see is some fucking big titty goth chick who's like half naked hosting a dating stream, and it's just like, uh, one's for
no,
children, and look what's
no.
going on. Another one's for adults. I think they should be allowed to say whatever they want. Like,
Well, for that now, all the Twitch people that have all those platforms are now going straight to Kick. There's like it's another Twitch platform, so it's called Kick.com, and so
Mhm.
all of those hot tub streamers and boob showers are going straight there because they're actually supporting that. So there's just no winning in that. They just need to. I don't know.
I think it's
Kick
fine.
is
People are just sick.
that's
They're
a whole other
they're-
fucking can of
they're,
worms to open.
they're just sick people, man.
I'm just saying. Sorry, go ahead.
I will say that like the demographics for all the age groups, like they're all skewing quite a bit older. Like the majority of X and Twitch is generally older demographics, kind of 16 plus.
What are the numbers? Because I was watching a congressional hearing, and I only know X's demographics of children for under 18 is 6%. Well, that was like
Yeah, it's pretty low. I think Twitch is also kind of aging up as well. YouTube is the big one that is like YouTube has crazy holds on the younger
yeah.
demographic. And so like I know Disney is like fucking losing their like they're shitting themselves trying to be like, "Oh, we don't have that kind of cultural relevance for this next generation. We have Disney adults, and then after that, we're going to be kind of screwed once their kids are like aging up cuz like their kids are kind of just like, okay, you know, my parents are nostalgic about this, whatever. They don't have that same kind of nostalgia that they're growing into. And so that's a whole other thing, but I did want to say for X, it's not just the whole like discourse is kind of fucked up and it's just edgier. That I don't care so much. It's just their moderation is just gone off. They got rid of their moderation teams. I cannot go through a single thread and see a conversation about it. All I will see is spam, people spamming to get engagement. They will spam the comments with other like videos and posts linking to their shit, other stuff like that, or just porn Twitter accounts.
Yeah.
They will be like
Yeah.
OnlyFans
They're
creators, and
everywhere.
that is almost every single thread, as well as just like on the for you. It's like from the for you that I've seen, other people's for yous. Even if you're logging in from like a new device or something, it's just so much more fucked than it used to be. Like I don't find it really usable anymore. And like I wasn't really crazy about X in the back in the Twitter days before. I wasn't a real big user of it, but like there's sometimes where there's like a topic that I'm very interested in, and it's a breaking thing. There's not a lot of conversations on Reddit or other places, and I go to X to kind of look what people are saying, kind of get a feel for how people are talking about this to stay up to date with the discourse, and all I can see are some titties.
Yeah,
Oh
so
my god,
I
go ahead.
I do kind of I get it for sure. Outside no moderation, it just being a cesspool. They have just started introducing a system where you can tag words that you don't want to see, and we actually talked about this a long time ago, where eventually you'll be able to
Echo
like
chambers.
you'll probably just tell an AI like what you don't want to see, and then it'll be like okay, and it'll just like remove that shit for you, so you don't have to see it. Um, but it's pretty funny. I feel like I'm in the opposite boat where I didn't use Twitter at all. And then like I think it's just this year I was like, you know what, Elon bought it. I heard it's really popular. I'll go and check it out. But you are right. Most like half of it is just fucking uh OnlyFans titties and it's just a fucking cesspool of nonsense. But it is good for news. Like I use it a lot for keeping up with the news. They're so on it. I mean, it's quick. There's a bombing, I know right away. If Biden is fucking drooling on himself in the corner, I know it right away. Like, like they are so on it. It's just I don't know. Like I kind of hate that we don't have that these systems just lean so far one way or the other. But you can't go on YouTube and get the same amount of information you can get from X. Like that shit is so heavily monitored. You'll never hear anything bad about countries or war or like whatever's going on. They'll only promote like left wing shit. They won't talk about the East at all. It just sucks. It sucks to have to go to both to like kind of see from both perspectives. But I don't know.
Yeah, I will say for like everything is personal, like subjective, because a lot of these websites have algorithms that are kind of tracking what you're interested in, what's gonna get your engagement, and so my YouTube will be like a lot of that shit where a lot of stuff I view is about what's going on in Palestine and a lot of leftist creators
What
that
okay,
speak
so
about stuff like that.
yeah. So like mine mine I'd say leans pretty right, but my YouTube, I mean I compare all the different algorithms because they're all so different, and it's
Yeah.
helped me kind of realize how moderated they all are, influenced by outside sources, because they can't be this different, right? If it was really all the same, it's not like I go on YouTube and I'm like I'm a leftist now. I don't, you know what I mean? Like I don't go on X and I'm like I lean far right. Like, it's just not the way it works. But they're both so heavily influenced that like it when I go on YouTube, and again I don't really peg myself as someone who's leaning too far one direction or the other. I have pretty different opinions um, from both sides. But like when I go on YouTube, it feels like they're trying really hard to get me to like join the fucking Hamas pool, and I'm just like, bruh, like, I'm not interested. Stop, fucking stop, please. I don't care. Stop it.
Yeah,
And
I
so
think YouTube is really. I think they're really trying to play it safe because they don't want Adpocalypse like 3.0 basically. Um, while Twitter is kind of just like, I think their monetization is really kind of fucked right now, but I think they're kind of like trying to switch over from ad revenue more so towards like user revenue in that sense, where they, that's more important to their bottom line. And Twitter Blue is the big one, obviously, but it does seem like that, like, they're allowed to be a little more less, socially acceptable due to that, while YouTube really has to try to balance it and moderate properly. So
the only thing I don't like about YouTube, the biggest thing, it's like fine, whatever you want to like. I mean, the shit's bought out by the government and it's influenced very intentionally. But YouTube, it also does its best to cater to the rest of the world, which is fine. Google in general does this. Like even they just do their best to cater to the whole world. And what that means is they cater to other foreign governments, and so they really try
Yep.
hard not to piss off China or maybe Russia
Yeah.
beforehand. I don't know, but. And I get it. You're a business. You want to take in as much money across the world as possible. But I follow a lot of content creators on YouTube who cover, pretty much the whole world, and they'll cover controversial topics in China. Hong Kong is one of them. That's a big one that comes up a lot that I follow. And those videos will instantly get demonetized. They'll instantly get shadow banned. I have to like go and fucking like click on my uh, YouTuber and like go and see what they posted because the videos won't pop up in my feed. So I mean, yeah, I don't know. It just sucks that like on one side there's so much moderation and so much influence, and on the other side there's not enough. Like I do like the way X is heading. Technically, they're still kind of new, right? It's like they destroyed their moderation team. They're still kind of figuring out how the content on your feed should be moderated. But I will say they are the first ones that I've seen, and then we've brought this up before, where you can actually start to moderate your own fucking content. And I suspect that a lot of these other platforms will definitely end up doing the same. It just makes sense from our perspective, from an American perspective, where you can go and be like, I don't want to hear about Trump, and then like the thing just like removes any video tagged with Trump in it, right? So you no longer have to worry about that dog shit. That I think is the direction of X, and that should help uh, streamline the service a lot more, so that like you can't open X in public. You can't do
Yeah.
it. You can't open it in public.
It's impossible.
So but yeah. Oh.
Yeah, and I think kind of going in, I mean, this is kind of the next topic we were going to really talk about, but like the whole discourse on X, especially with politicians, is like
So awesome.
rabid.
It's so awesome.
The way that people have normalized talking about each other is fucking crazy.
It's so awesome.
On both sides, but like it's people are very divisive. The whole RNC unity thing did not work, boys. After the Trump assassination attempt and Kamala becoming the main Democratic prospect with Biden dropping out, holy shit, that discourse is crazy.
Okay, so I'm a big Trumper right now. If it hasn't been obvious, I love Trump. I don't really care much for the other Republicans, if I'm being honest. I think a lot of them are crackpots. So there's like a couple senators on both sides that I like. But dude, yeah, I will say this: there was a nice little shining moment. I've only really recently gotten into politics where when I'm watching the RNC and they're pushing that narrative of like inclusivity and like unity. And holy fuck, dude, the racists came out in numbers. The racists were like, "Why is there a gay black woman talking up there?" And I was like, "Whoa, what just happened? You guys were so happy a second ago, and then everybody turned on Trump and just the Republicans in a second. They're like, why are Republicans accepting the gays?" And I was just like, I'm just gonna stay away from crowds for for a little bit. That shit was so funny to me. But I liked.
It was.
Sorry,
It was wild.
yeah, I liked that they were, like, oh hey, come on over here, guys, come on over here. We're very inclusive. we like everybody. Come on over. And then some of the community, especially, I don't know about like the main populace because whatever, it's really hard to tell with crowds. But I do know, and this kind of tailors into something I've learned recently. I think this month, but a lot of the like hard Republicans, especially the influence like Matt Walsh and Charlie Kirk and shit, I'm missing another one. But like the normal major Republican commentators, they were so pissed. They were pissed, dude. And they weren't the only ones, but yeah, they were not happy about that shit. They were not happy about some gay black woman talking. They weren't happy about I think it was like they did an Indian prayer or something. I'm sorry, I know it's like not very sensitive. They did some prayer that people didn't like there. I was just like, wow, hatred is on both sides. Whoa, that's crazy. But
Yeah. I will say, like, I think a lot of the rhetoric right now is just kind of like anti the other group rather than like what policies each group has. I think a lot of people on both sides are kind of just like, I'm here to be against them rather than I'm here to kind of have my agenda that I'm really interested in pushed. So it seems very kind of hateful on both sides. Um, I do think that like so with Kamala kind of being the main Democratic, I mean she's basically in as the Democratic nominee, right?
yeah,
Not beating around the bush with it. Um, it's definitely like taken off to a crazy level, and I think a lot of people kind of, to be fair, Trump he gets a little bit of leeway from everybody, period, because he almost got fucking assassinated, right? Like he gets a few extra like you can say some crazy shit and get away with it kind of tickets right now, but like the whole discourse has just gone fucking crazy, and but it's kind of swinging back. I think that the whole Republican Party kind of having this kind of very hateful rhetoric and very publicly, it seems like Kamala is starting to rise, slowly, much better than Biden already, but now starting to like even climb in like newest polling data. Like she's making gains, and it seems like a lot of it is focused on one, she is able to articulate a sentence, which Biden could not do for the life of him. Trump is looking a little wishy-washy with it too.
he's fine.
And so she seems the most like there cognitively. Obviously, she's way younger than them. I mean, she's almost 60 as well, but like
Is she really?
in comparison, she's like a fucking newborn, right? That's the thing. Everyone thinks she's like, like 30 years old. She's like 59, I think.
Wow.
So exactly. So she's not like, a spring chicken by any means, but she's in comparison to Biden and Trump, if you put them side by side, she seems like she could run a marathon, right? And so like I think that's a big thing, especially for younger voters, which is a voter base that's very hard to get a hold of. Kamala seems much more appealing and much more in tune with what they're looking for in a candidate, regardless of policies. And I think that policy-wise, she's kind of just like Biden light, a little more like pro-Palestine, but like
She's such
it
a
does.
commie.
Hey,
She is
woo!
such a commie, dude. She might be more of a commie than Biden.
Oh,
Biden didn't even know he was a commie, but
I
Well,
will say,
Kamala's also more energetic too. So when she's with the people and stuff, she's like a hyper upper, and that's all pretty much she has. Because everyone, like said, she's old younger, so she'd be able to do it. So she dances, she screams, and just she's like, "Woo, yeah, let's go!" So I was
I.
looking more videos into this of Kamala Harris,
Mhm.
and so she was just dancing with the crowd, which is pretty funny. And she's more louder than the others. But I didn't see any of how much of her crowd is. But they were just chanting shit with her and not letting her speak at all. It's kind of funny.
I agree with both of you in the sense that, and it kind of hit me earlier too, where she's just younger, and I mean, I think I'm playing. She's a woman that plays into it too for voters, obviously, and maybe even that she's a minority. I don't know, but definitely the fact that she's younger, and I even kind of like had the feeling too, where I was just like, it's just kind of like nice to have someone younger running. I don't know why. Like, a part of me was just like, maybe I should just vote for that reason. Like, I don't know. Like, I definitely think she has some draw just based on the fact that she's younger, dude. Because watching
yeah,
those two old guys go back and forth was so miserable. Um,
and I mean, so for me personally, like I was a big Bernie bro back in the day,
Oh yeah.
back when he actually had a chance, a semblance of a chance, and how the whole Democratic Party really fucked over Bernie to kind of prop up Hillary,
Mm-hmm.
and they really pushed Trump too. They made Trump what he is,
Oh, 100%.
and so when in that same sense where you're saying, hey, Kamala is kind of appealing to me in that way.
Mm-hmm.
When Trump won, I was like, well, fuck, first of all, because like he doesn't really align with my views, and but second, I was like, like it kind of felt almost like fuck you to the Democratic Party in the sense that like
It was.
you fucked yourselves, guys. Like this was on you guys. You fucking dropped the ball and fucked it up. And so here it feels kind of like the opposite of like finally the Democratic Party did something fucking good. They have a candidate that actually seems like for Kamala, she's not my number one pick by any means. Don't get me wrong.
Well,
Her
who would
policies
you like
aren't.
to see running? Just
Yo,
out of
bring
curiosity.
Bernie back, bro. He could
You want
die in
Bernie?
office and I'd be happy, bro. I mean, he's the whole age thing. I don't think Bernie would be a good candidate to run into Trump, but I mean, his policies are, and aside from just policy, I feel like you can tell how genuine people are. Kamala seems very kind of like politician, She feels like she'll do the job, but she doesn't feel like she's like, you don't feel her heart in every single American issue, right? A lot of her stuff is kind of like, I'm doing this because it's a party issue. With Bernie, it felt like he really had like
Cared. He's
these are
passionate.
issues that I actually care about. I want to do for the American people, right? Um, Trump, I feel like in that sense, Trump might be more. I don't know. I mean, I think he really believes in the issues in the
He's
sense that
passionate too.
yes. Does he really believe in them for himself? Does he believe it's good for his party?
No,
Whatever it may
Trump.
be.
His
But
party, dude. The Republicans don't like Trump. They don't like Trump.
yeah,
He's not a
no.
Republican. Trump
All right,
is
I should
not
say.
a fucking Republican. He is not a Republican. He's a libertarian. He's not a Republican. Even the right does not like him, guys. They don't like him. I have a lot of right leaning friends. They hate him. I mean, they don't hate him, but like, they don't like him. Like, he does not. He's not a traditional rightist. He's not really a nationalist in the truest sense. He is kinda, but not really. A lot of the nationalists on the right like want to see jobs tailored specifically to only Americans. And I'm not talking about like cut out the illegal immigrants. I'm talking about like cutting out visas from outside the US. Like nobody, if you're not American, no jobs for you. Go away. Same with property rights. Like if you're for outside America, fuck you. Like you ain't coming here. Like that's some very normal Republican shit. Trump's not about that. He just wants to kick out the illegals. I learned recently too that he's not a lot of the gun community is not very happy with Trump because during his time, I think he banned bump stocks or something. Like they also don't like, dude. A lot of Trump is not a Republican. He's a populist. He's very libertarian. Like he's not a Republican, dude. He's not a like. I don't know. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, but that's the whole thing. Also, like those topics of especially about like gun control and abortion, those aren't really that divided along party lines as people make it to seem. Those are overwhelmingly by the vast majority of Americans popular ideas. Uh, legalizing like pro-choice, that is a popular idea regardless of party line. It's obviously much more along Democratic parties, but even in the Republican base, pro-choice is pretty popular actually.
It's starting to. I mean, okay, yes, in the voter base, true. Among the politicians, they're like kind
Yes,
of
among
starting
the
to catch
politicians,
up.
not really, but it's not that they're trying to catch up. It's more so the fact that they know how bad it is because that is a single issue voter
Oh
policy.
yeah,
Like
hundred
people
percent.
will vote just for that one issue,
Oh yeah.
and they realize there are people in the Republican base that will vote just for that issue. I know there was during the previous election cycle, there was a lot of states that turned blue because of that, and so I think they're really wary of kind of tackling the abortion issue too harshly. It's kind of like
Mm-hmm.
hey, we really care about the kids. That's what they really are saying, and any more than that really would look bad on them. And so I think they're steering away from that, which is probably to their benefit. But the whole Kamala thing. I mean, she's rising in the polls, which don't really fucking matter. To be fair,
We
like that
saw
shit did not pan out very well the last few elections. So like,
yeah.
it's so unpredictable. But I mean, just from as a leftist myself, right? Uh, I think that like I'm personally actually excited to vote for her rather than just like I'm gonna go vote Biden just to keep Trump out of office. I'm like I feel like she can actually do some stuff, and she's not just a stand-in puppet that's kind of just over there. Like Biden, how much of what he was doing was actually like stuff that he was really interested in. It felt like he was kind of just there to like check boxes and stuff. He did fine, I think personally. I think that his debt relief, especially for people who had educational debt, was really good. But
It
he,
didn't pan out nearly as well as it.
I mean,
I'm
yeah,
it was like 60
there's always like
plus,
could
and
have
you
been
had
better. I know quite a few people had benefited tremendously from it though, and
oh, well, that's good.
any
I
gain
didn't.
is like, yeah. I mean, look, I didn't get any shit from it, but like, look, I'm still happy that like there are people getting benefit, right? And I think that like saying just because it's not perfect, it's a bad thing. Like I still think he did like overall fine. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's just all this shit now. He's a sitting incumbent. That's he's not gonna run for re-election. So like, is Biden gonna just fucking do some wacky shit? Probably not until Kamala is not until November. I don't think he's doing shit until November. Period.
There
Like
have
nothing controversial.
maybe there's been some like subtle things where I mean this is kind of been hinted at a little bit. They're talking about getting limits on not just Congress but also the Supreme Court, which I find really funny because that's exactly what Benjamin Netanyahu did in Israel. Not to like draw comparisons, but I don't really know how legal that is or how long that would stand. I don't really know how that works, but I mean they'd also have to probably get some majorities going. But I mean those are some controversial things. I think you're right though. I don't think there's gonna be too much. I think his goal right now will probably just be to make it to the end, and there's always this like last push towards the end to get like cleanup measures, I guess, like Newsom uh say he's going to clean up the streets and they're disbanding homeless encampments. Um, Biden did the 5% cap on corporations on rent prices. There's a few others that they just like kind of fling out towards the end, like, oh hey, look, we're taking care of this problem now. Vote for us still. So you're probably right. Like most of the time, they'll just skirt by to the end so he doesn't mess up Kamala's run
I mean,
chances.
yeah. There's also people saying pack the court as in like expanding it and stuff. And I
The Supreme Court, right?
there's a lot of people Supreme
Yeah,
Court,
yeah.
and there's a lot of people that are kind of like hey, we really shouldn't fuck with our system, and a lot on the right that are saying hey, don't do this, it's like unprecedented, there's no precedent for this.
Hmm.
At the same time, I don't know if you remember back in 2016 when Obama nominated Merrick Garland for the Supreme Court, and McConnell was the main, spearhead for blocking the nomination, and not letting Merrick Garland onto the Supreme Court due to the fact that Obama was, finishing his second term, and he was not going to be the president in, I believe it was a bit over half a year until the next election, and then like almost a year, or like closer to a year actually, for when the next president was going to be in. And so that was kind of like, huh? Like, that's like a fucking you're on the school ground making up rules kind of vibe. And then when Trump had the Supreme Court opening right before the next election, the Republican Party was like, get this person in now, and they were able to. And it's kind of like, all right, guys, like rules for thee, but not me, kind of vibe. Yes, Trump was only a one-term president, and he was running for re-election. But was it actually during the time when I think they might have? I forget if it was between the election cycle, or as like the election cycle already finished, and Trump was just sitting until January. I forget when that was, but it feels really kind of hamstrung that like there's just these really fucking made up rules half the time, and a lot of the precedent is just kind of politician handshaking, kind of like, okay, this is the rule we're just gonna go with. And then whenever one party just wants to, they can say fuck the rule. We're gonna do some shit that's gonna go nuclear, and really just shake up our political system. I think I don't think Biden really should do anything until after November that would like look like that. You know, regardless of how good it would be for his party or for the people of the country, and regardless of what he really believes in. You know, Kamala is trending pretty well as a political figure. Right now, she has a decent shot at beating Trump. I don't think anyone would argue that. It's really fucking close. Don't get me wrong.
I think it's impossible to know. To be honest with you, I
Exactly.
just
But,
think it's
you know,
impossible to know. I think Trump will win, but that being said, I feel less confident now than I did
oh,
before he
100%.
dropped out. So I don't know. The polls are all lies. They're all liars.
Yeah, no,
Every poll you
All
see is a
scams.
fucking lie,
They're all
dude.
it's all we
It's all fake
all
news.
we
It's
have to
not
really
real.
go off of. You can't really just go ask all your friends. You know, you're gonna have a skewed system, so
Can't
you
know.
gotta take what you have. But yeah, no, it definitely felt like any small thing could really lead to like the outcome of this election. And also the whole assassination thing, fucking crazy. First of all, all that shit's wild. i don't think I don't think it's good even for anyone on the Democratic Party. Even if Trump was killed, like, he's become a martyr. First of all, like, I don't think anyone should be killed. Just put that out there.
Well, that's good.
It's insane take, I know, but like, he would have been a martyr. People would have been fucking up in arms, and honestly, rightfully so. Like, killing a political candidate is pretty fucking insane. Like, no, that has no place in any kind of civilized community. I straight up think if Biden dropped out and Trump wasn't almost fucking assassinated, I think it looks like way more in favor of Kamala.
Oh, for sure.
And I think it looks really good for her. But like, Trump can now play like, I survived in a fucking assassination attempt. I'm here to be your president. Like, that has gusto to it. No one can deny that. Like, it looks good. And so I was thinking, like about a month back, I'm like, if Biden dropped out and we had Kamala most likely step in, I would feel pretty solid about Kamala's chances. It's so like close right now. It's really fucking close, and it's crazy.
We'll see. There's still so much time. There's been so much going on in just a few weeks, dude. I mean, we've also had the hearings this week. Did you guys watch any of those?
Well, didn't Biden already drop out or no?
Yeah, he dropped out.
No, he
Yeah,
already
but
dropped
like
out.
the Secret Service,
Cheetle. Okay, so I watched the whole
yeah,
thing. The Secret Service, director of the Secret Service, Congress pulled her in and had a lot of questions to ask. Um, and it was really funny because no matter what, whether it was a far left person, a far right senator, or far left senator, they would just straight up blame her for it. They would be like, a leftist would get up there and be like, "You're making women look bad. You should be fired." And then like a right winger gets up there, and it was just like,
stupid bitch.
dude, she was getting it from every angle. Not a single person like went in there and was like, "Oh yeah, it's fine." No, every single one went up there and was like, "You should be fired. Get your ass up out of here right now. You're either making us look bad. You did a
It
bad
was
job."
so fucked. No, yeah, like,
Yeah,
and rightfully she got torn apart for it. I
and she
really think
resigned. She resigned.
immediately, yeah, but
Hmm.
like she resigned in disgrace, basically. Like, she really should have been like, this is like, immediately it should have been, we're looking into how this happened. We're gonna have to restructure. This was a huge failure on the part of the Secret Service. Like, blaming the local PD
She
when you're
blamed
the
FBI, local PD. She blamed
yeah, you're the
literally
Secret
everyone else.
Service. Like, this
Hmm.
is your department. You should have had like made sure they're doing their shit if it's like their jurisdiction, and your people should have been on top of it. Like, yeah, that was just a complete mishap on their side, and she really should have just kind of been like, we're looking into it, um, but I will resign in a week's time after we have set up new structures in place to make sure that everything is taken care of and properly looked into. We're gonna have other parties investigate. Obviously it has to be some level of like, there's a lot of secret shit. You can't just bring in some random fucking people. But just she had to own up for that, and I would have liked her to do it a little more gracefully, and just apologize a little bit more. So probably
She
because
didn't
you
apologize. I
got
mean,
somebody
it
you
had.
got somebody killed. You almost had the fucking one of the presidential nominees killed. Like it is a crazy thing, and I mean, just the videos of like it was known he was there. They knew he was there.
Oh
Police
yeah.
roughly knew he was there, and like letting it happen and just letting Trump get on stage with all of that is just insane.
Yeah, I
Like there
mean,
is so many failure points there. It was
there are so many questions up in the air. There's so many conspiracy theories coming from both sides. But like in the
I think it
end,
was just incompetence. I think it was just
you
incompetence.
might be right. But in the end, like she went up there and literally all they wanted was an answer to like anything. Like why, who, what, when, where. That's literally all they wanted was anything. She could have blamed it on Iran. She could have fucking said, "Hey, we're just stupid. Like we fucked up." Like she could have literally said anything. And it had been 9 days since they had initiated the investigation and since the assassination. She sat down and she said, "I don't know anything. Maybe go ask the FBI." That was like the whole thing the whole time. It was like, "Oh, the investigation
That's
is
wild.
happening. We don't know shit." Like that's basically what she said the whole time. And I mean, dude, the stories coming out about this guy are crazy. So one, he had the phone that they couldn't get into, and then I guess they eventually did. He had like a bunch of offshore accounts. They like went to his house, and it was all very sterile, like cleaned out. Like there was nothing. It was bleached and everything. Like the whole thing was like a clean room. His car had like a bomb on it. Like there are so much crazy details about the story, and I mean it's just wild watching like a conspiracy theory come to life because you kind of have two that are raging against each other right now. One, the CIA or FBI try to kill this guy, right? The left try to kill him, or two, he had help from or it was like from Iran or some shit, like a foreign adversary. Uh, so like you're just watching the evidence for these things like unfold live, and you're just like, what the fuck happened here, man? Like, what is going on? But yeah, she resigned. So to say the least,
Yeah.
she bye
And
bye.
I think that with all the kind of discourse, conspiracy theories, and everything, it doesn't help when people just can't be fucking honest. Her bullshit runaround answers, like, it doesn't help play to, like, just, you know, American politicians and people in power not being able to just be upfront with their constituents and with the American population.
It's pretty normal. I've watched a lot of hearings with the FBI, director of the FBI. I haven't seen Secret Service before. This is my first time, but they talk really similarly, where they just say, "Oh, we don't have that information," or "the investigation isn't finished." They're very detailed in the way they speak. Like they'll word game you as much as possible. And the FBI actually got a lot of shit for it the last time they were up there. I'm trying to remember what they were up there for. I think it was like spying on Americans or congressmen. And they ended up getting punished. They ended up losing money for it. They couldn't fire the guy because he was appointed, and it's whatever. They tried and they couldn't. But they did end up
Yeah.
slashing the budget. So
Nah, I mean, these figures in power are kind of crazy. And like, there's now the whole thing as well about there's just numerous Olympic scandals, but one of them tying into these big figures is there is this whole Chinese doping scandal. I believe with the swim team,
oh
there
yeah,
was quite a few swimmers that were tested for this drug in their system, and it was kind of swept under the rug. I believe the WADA said they talked to the Chinese government and the team with it, and it was kind of just brushed under as there was a mix-up, kind of how it got into their systems, which looks really fucking weird. And so there's been a lot of pushback from the U.S. and U.S. agencies about, hey, like, what the fuck? There's no way that's possible. Um, and so the Olympic Committee basically said, yeah, these U.S. agencies apologize to the WADA and say that they're a reputable source. Otherwise, it's going to jeopardize the Olympics in Salt Lake City, which is fucking crazy.
I
Like
love
the
it.
strong arm with that is fucking insane. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they did just bend the knee to the fucking International Olympic Committee because, like, you know, just they just don't want to deal with that bullshit, and so half these agencies are just fucking going with the flow just to avoid extra issues, which is crazy.
Yeah, I don't really keep up with the Olympics, and whatever I see is just usually terrible news stuff. But I know the
The shit
Australian,
water.
yeah, exactly, the shit water. We've talked about that one already a few times. That was fucking funny. France in general is hilarious to talk about because they always just there's always some nonsense going on. Like you can talk about France all day long. They're their whole fucking shit show. But
We are now a Baguettes podcast.
oh my god, dude. But the Australian cyclist team, their bus got broken into. I think it was like on the first day, and all their shit got stolen except like a few bikes or something, which is fucking
That's
hilarious.
so
It's just-
fucking. That's so French. Just fucking ruining shit. We love making fun of French people.
yeah, dude. I, I, I. We also have Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, here in the U.S. I think it's
We have him in the call. He's here.
we have
live?
him. Yes, special guest here live. Yeah, I wish that'd be so awesome. But yeah, he came. He spoke at Congress. He gave a nice little speech. I'm glad someone finally said it. But I think he went a little viral for saying that gays for Hamas is like chicken for
Chicken for
KFC.
KFC. That shit made me laugh. I'm not gonna lie. I
Yeah.
don't think it lines up nearly as well as like he thinks, but it's fucking hilarious. It is hilarious regardless.
It is the second time I've seen a politician drop a line they clearly read from the internet. Because I also saw, I think it was a Fox reporter. It might be wrong, but he was also calling Kamala Harris the OG Hawk girl.
Oh my god.
So it is a little cringe watching these like high profile leaders of countries like go up there and like repeat lines they clearly read on the internet. It I don't know, but it's funny too at the same time. It's both funny and sad. It's like I don't really know how else they can connect with, you know, a viewer base that's where they come from. Uh but like at the same time it's like, dude, you're the leader of a country with nuclear missiles. Like I don't know if that's what you should be doing. Like how does that work? How are you gonna say some shit like that and then go home and like threaten to nuke Iran or something? Like what the freak?
Well, I think that a lot of politicians, I'm not too sure about outside the US, but they do realize a lot of social media now is short form content. And
Mm,
so getting those viral, clippable moments, dropping those, fucking bars, dropping big lines, those, clippable viral moments, that like goes a long way nowadays in this political landscape. And
yeah.
so they're really thinking about that now and trying to test the waters with that, and you can see that more so. And it has led to many really cringe cases
Yeah.
of people saying some whack shit and just looking really stupid. Like you can make some nasty cringe compilations nowadays, and that shit would be hilarious. But
True.
you know, it does really lend itself to kind of this new form of almost propaganda, that you're able to utilize, where you just, you're dropping these bars and then you're pushing these short form content onto platforms, whether it's yourself or people running these accounts that, sometimes are paid for, sometimes they're just people that are interested in that political party, etc. It's something that's definitely is kind of changing the landscape a little bit of politics as well as just the internet itself.
Mhm. Yeah. I've mentioned it. I do think this next phase of politics, I think after this next election, will be really interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw more. I don't want to say independent politicians kind of rise up a bit. I feel like you probably, but I do think they'll start independent and then end up having to align with a party. And I think we'll see a shift in power, kind of move away from the parties themselves and more into populist hands, where like
Mr.
Mr.
Beast.
Beast, exactly. It's a good point.
Mr.
Where
Beast.
you'll see like Mr. Beast come out and say, "Oh, I'm gonna run for president," and then he'll get a lot of traction, and you'll see a party, and this happens already. I know The Rock Johnson, he said a party had approached him to get him to run, and I think we'll see a lot more of that, where these parties will have to find somebody who's just a really popular influencer and get them to kind of run on their platform or for them. And I think it'll kind of
Yeah.
return a little bit of power to the people, but I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, BB,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I don't think there's been any kind of big wave of like independent movements, which, that is what I would really like. At the moment, I think it's still within the kind of mainstream two-party system, and
Sure.
they are looking for these, big figures to kind of be part of the party. At the same time, I don't really think like, yes, there are some outliers like, Trump, Arnold in California, uh, and going back, there's been a few more, but I don't think it really the celebrity or potentially influencer candidate is super appealing to a lot of people just due to the fact that, hey, this is someone I like, but not necessarily someone I like as, a politician or as a representative of my, of where I'm living. So I'm not 100% sold on that, but I definitely think at least for outreach, fucking MrBeast collab with Donald Trump, like that shit is gonna become way more common.
Oh yeah,
Uh, so
it's
honestly,
fair.
why not just throw them in a cage, have them fucking fist fight?
That would
Politicians
get
just
just the win.
WWE.
I did.
uh,
I forgot. I wanted to ask a question, but and Tom's my brother, so like he'll have the similar answer to me. But I'm curious for you. How do politics work in your family? This is something I've kind of explored recently, and I found the results very interesting. But yeah, like, are you able to talk politics with your family? Do you guys all align? Like, what's the spread look?
yeah. So my family specifically is pretty. They're pretty chill with it. It's a little bit different in my scenario because I am like a first generation uh American. Like my family immigrated from Europe. They're Dutch. Shout out to the Dutch volleyball team with the rapist.
Oh my god, we actually have a viewer who's Dutch, or more
Yeah,
than one. I don't know, but there's some rando
maybe
in.
that one Dutch viewer can do something about the fucking rapist on the volleyball team.
Oh my
Shout out
god,
the Olympics.
the Olympics going real well.
But so as a first generation American, like uh I generally hold the same views as my family. They my mom has on occasion kind of like been a little susceptible to media, and I'm like, hey mom, like that's some bullshit. And she's like there enough that like, she's critical thinking enough that I can tell her that. She'll think about it and be like, maybe a little bit, yeah. She like you can persuade her with a conversation, which is nice, like she goes down these rabbit holes, but you're able to talk rationally about it. And if like it's some really whack shit and you point it out, like she was kind of hesitant about vaccines for a while and getting me vaccinated because like she didn't want her son turning fucking autistic. I'm already fucking autistic enough as it is. You don't need a double autism, right? So like, she had hesitancy with that, and then she realized, oh shit, there's this conspiracy about vaccines. Would I really, it's do I want to trust a scientist? My dad also was a scientist. Or do I want to, just kind of trust this online stuff that I'm seeing and potentially have, you know, a very realistic harm of being unvaccinated when that's very provable. There's outbreaks of these diseases popping up in the US and a lot of places because of these unvaccinated populations, especially these like clusters depending on either religious beliefs or communities. You'll see a lot of these, diseases that basically died out are now popping back up. So I can talk to my mom about it and she will be able to have a rational conversation. My dad doesn't really care too much about it anymore. He's just kind of vibing, retired. So, but no, my family's been pretty, it wasn't much when I was young. They didn't really push their political views on me. But, you know, they pretty much align with what I feel.
It's interesting. Um, it's interesting because I feel like most of our family does too. They align pretty similarly on the opposite boat. Uh, and I'm like curious as to what the divider is there because like the same logic you use to back, your points are it would be the same logic that we would use to back our points. And I'm so interested in the differences, like how that happens. If it's very intentional, like what is going on there? Like, is it coin flip? Is it just coin flip? Like,
As for like our political views lining with our families,
yeah. I mean, we've got a few family members who, um, well, I like. Okay, so there's no coincidence that they're all like around the same age and that they're all older. Um, but pretty much most of us are Trump lovers. We're all Trump lovers. And you know, then there's a majority who just can't be fucking bothered to care, and then you have like a few older, grandparents or great aunts who
hmm
tend to be a little left leaning, um, or they're Trump haters.
yeah.
So
So for
Here.
me personally, my brother, he's a bit more to the right than I am.
okay,
I don't know if I'd say he's really right leaning. He's definitely to the right of where I am, but he's more like, hey, SJW shit, fucking cringe. I don't really like to be associated with that. Um, and honestly, I'm like, yeah, I'm not like fucking radical left. Like, I think that like the SJW shit can get fucking like way too overbearing and fucking cringe as well. But he's more so like, I don't really like that. Policy wise, he doesn't really like what the right has, but socially, he doesn't really care too much about what the left is doing, and so he's kind of in that in between. And we'll have chats every once in a while. I don't really talk politics too much with any of my family. It's on
okay,
occasion. So like with my mom and stuff, if she brings up something, we'll have a conversation about it. But it's not like and when big shit happens, the Trump assassination, Biden dropping out, we fucking were like, holy shit.
hmm
Everyone's reaction, what the fuck?
yeah.
But like, it's not like we had this, we don't really have giant debates. Sometimes we'll push each other's viewpoints a little bit, but it's all pretty respectful. But I think that a big part of, my brother and I having kind of slightly differing views is the online landscape really kind of broadening a lot of viewpoints for a lot of people. I know a lot of people in deep red states believe like rad leftists because they have these online communities that they're able to connect with. And the same goes for like, these fucking alt-right people who are, like have these like racist, viewpoints because they're in these online circles, and like it's on both sides where like these online communities will allow people to branch out politically more so, and sometimes let people kind of for most, I would say, reasonably just kind of feel what they attach to better. Most of the time, it's not this radical, extremist on either side. It's more so, hey, these viewpoints actually do match up with what I'm feeling more so, whether it be more socially or whether it be more economically. And so I think the online discourse really broadening people's horizon, like, their communications is a big factor of that kind of generational divide in politics.
And now you take me back to why I like X. So I feel like it's one of the only social medias that you can really get to see both, whether you like it or not. It gives you that opportunity too. But yeah.
Yeah, I think that like
Give me one second.
it's like social media sites have their flaws for sure. I think X is a little too unmoderated at times, and they over moderate certain groups. Um, I think that Reddit is fucking awful with their like moderators that are just random ass dudes. Those guys are so fucking cringe, dude. Any Reddit mod, fucking cringe, bro. Like I use Reddit all the time. If you're a Reddit mod, they're so fucking cringe. Just let people fucking talk, man. Um,
I
and
can't.
then
I
like
can't.
I
I
can't speak
can't
for
use
4chan.
Reddit.
That shit looks like a fucking cesspool.
I don't know
I
how
can't.
people use 4chan at all. So like, I just looked it out one
It's
time,
stuff
I
like
was like,
that.
I don't know what this is. Like, I I don't
Uh,
know. I seriously don't know what 4chan is. I don't get it at all. I don't understand it. I've tried using Reddit. It is way too hard to like understand all the different rules that you have to like partake in before you post
in each
anything.
community,
Yeah,
so
I'm like,
fucking whack.
dude, I can't be fucking bothered with this shit. Like, I've tried posting for like league stuff before, and like it'll get taken down, and then there's like 2 or 3 paragraphs. So I'm like, well, you've got to do this first
Dude,
before
the
you
league
post
mods
anything, and when you
especially
post
are
this.
some. I think the league mods are such biased fucking weirdos, dude. They're biased cringe lords, and that goes for a lot of subreddits. it really depends on the subreddit, but even Reddit as a whole, their admin team and their kind of it's very kind of like, hey, the Chinese Communist Party is watching, like watch what we're doing. That it gives a lot of that vibe. So it's not the best unmoderated discussion board. There are some subreddits that are, especially the smaller ones, that you can like actually like see some good discussions in. But like, X has its issues. Reddit definitely has its issues. I don't even want to look at fucking 4chan. So like, there's not a lot of great places. So a lot of time it leads to these echo chambers. But like, I definitely at some point, I could have went down kind of like alt-right pipeline where like, SJW people being really cringe and shit. I was like, haha, funny, red hair people cringe.
Blue hair now.
And
Now they're blue hair. Sorry, keep
oh fuck, blue
going.
hair. And the rainbow, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Throwing the gay into it, the pride.
Not the gay, dude.
No, but like, I think a lot of people kind of like find these circles online, and they will form that as kind of a political viewpoint rather than just generational. Because a lot of the time it's like you get it from parents, and that still is definitely the case. But I think it shakes up a lot more than it used to, and I mean, there's definitely. This is just kind of off a feel, so this is like definitely not like any data proven anything. But for me personally, and from my experiences and what I've seen, and this can be complete bullshit, it felt like about 10 years ago, a lot more people, especially younger, were kind of trending blue, democratic, especially with like Twitter being the way it was, and a lot of the discourse online was a lot more, about social acceptance and a lot of like anti-hate rhetoric. And so socially a lot of people lined up really well with democratic side of kind of the party for especially minorities. And now it feels like it's kind of swung the complete opposite way, where like like, hey, there's now a lot more platforms for X has definitely become, I would say, leaning more right with its political discussions. And there's still, of course, left discourse on X as well, but like even uh, a lot of the creators on there, they seemed very leftist. They're now promoting a lot more right content.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of just trying to fit in.
Grifters.
That
There's grifters. They're just
there's
grifting.
there's a lot of that for sure, and I totally agree. There's a lot of benefits to people being able to broaden their horizons, and being exposed to different points of view, which is something I really like. Obviously, you and I are pretty different politically. We could go all day when it comes to COVID and Israel and fucking border and Kamala versus Trump, but like I have noticed that a lot of people just sit in groups where they just like echo chamber each other back and forth, and it's like, do you think
Oh,
Biden's
and
great?
I
Yeah,
think that's the
Biden's great.
worst. No,
Like,
yeah,
it's
that shit
like
is the worst. I think.
I agree, yeah. And it was really something when we started the show. It was really something I did not want to happen. I was like, I don't want to. If I wanted to hear myself like talk, you know what I mean? Like I just talk to myself. What would be the point of it? So, but you're right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who just sit in echo chambers and they just like they just parrot each other back and forth. And it's like, dude, how do you learn anything? How's it fun? I don't get it. You need to be challenged in life. How do you know you're gonna be wrong? Like, how do you improve? But a lot of people do. They just sit in an echo chamber. They just fucking say the same shit to each other, back and forth,
No, and
back
and
and forth.
that's how you really get these like extremist viewpoints, because
Yes,
you
yeah.
don't like it's kind of hard, especially with the online age that we're in now, to really visualize someone on the other end of a computer being an actual person.
It's a little easier
Because
when you have
like,
a camera on.
I'm just pixels, guys. I'm actually a CIA op. I'm a licensed operator being paid for by the fucking the Jews. The Jews are paying me.
The Jews have
The
swapped
Jews.
sides.
Yeah.
You got a sweet. Give me a fake gun.
But like I really think that like the political discourse just kind of being so like divided is really problematic, and it creates these echo chambers that are where the most problematic people come from. And so it's really hard to say a solution, because that's just the time we're in now. And so I don't know if there's going to be a big push to kind of like you know maybe in coordination with mainstream media and social medias, kind of have more open dialogue, whether that be because I know a lot of local politicians are, they're not really utilizing online platforms as much as, probably should be used. And so I think that that could really be a big thing to kind of tie politics in a little bit more within communities online, like locally utilizing online resources. And, dude, talking about using online like resources being up to date and bureaucracy in the same sentence is so fucking hard, dude. But I mean, in an ideal world, like there'd be, I know a lot of town hall meetings and stuff. They allow people to have discussions. It would be great if there's just an easy way for people to send in inquiries, and have some sort of fair lottery system where as long as there's not like they can potentially filter out the obvious spam shit, but maybe have verifiable people send in inquiries that are answered by these town hall meetings, and so it's more accessible. I think the accessibility of online versus traditional politics is a big thing that I really hope could be branched, and I don't see it realistically happening anytime soon. But
I think the biggest problem is just disinformation. I think once you have resources to automate the truth a little bit, or help get the truth out, things get way easier. Like way
but
way
that's so
easier.
hard. That's so hard nowadays. I mean, even like X, they have their community notes thing, but like it's still kind of like not great. And
It's a good
with
first step
like
or second step because I think
definitely for
Facebook
sure.
started.
Yeah,
But
I like community notes as a whole. I think generally it's pretty good for like bullshit checking. But and that brings like another thing with AI kind of becoming insanely powerful, and it's just gonna keep going from here. I mean, it might slow down a little bit, but it's already at a pretty extreme point.
mm-hmm.
Uh, it really feels like I don't know exactly how, but there needs to be some kind of mandated system of like one image and video being untamperable, whether that's like, a standardized way that they can make sure, hey, this is an unedited video. Like something like that needs to be happening because, in the system we're in now, where like it's not really proved, it's going to be soon enough where video that's AI, or especially images, you can't really discern between the two. I don't know if any AI content needs to be like AI stamped or something. I know that like in other countries, if especially for like body dysmorphia and stuff, they have any models that are either, I think makeup is okay, but like digital altercations, whether that be AI or just like Photoshop, very standard in the U.S. Anything that has something like that, Photoshop involved, it has to be marked. Whether it's in an ad or online, it has to have this mark on it that's basically states this has been photoshopped. I think something like that has to happen for AI. Otherwise, it's gonna be fucking like disinformation will just get more and more crazy.
I
You won't be able to tell the
agree.
difference.
I don't know the exact implementation I would want. It's a thought that I've had that's crossed over because standardizing that and making sure these online groups are actually going to be doing it compared to like these ad agencies just adding this no Photoshop or Photoshop was used in it, like the difference there, like it's going to be fucking crazy, and it's going to be hard to regulate, period. But especially I think on the consumer side, making it such an accessible tool for the broad public, if it's somehow limited in some way that we're able to generally tell it apart, I think would be good. But I mean, obviously, there's going to be hey, China has now gotten control of this technology and they're pumping propaganda using this. There's no real way to do it, but I mean, there's baby steps, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting. I do expect at some point a wave of um an AI image or video panic causing activity. It'll definitely happen at least once. It just makes sense in form of like warfare, or if
Mm-hmm.
you just want to freak an enemy populace out, it'll fucking happen. I mean, but I don't know. The U.S. is a little weird when it comes to AI because of our freedom of speech laws, and a lot of companies. It's not. It's a little hard for our government to regulate this stuff. Excuse me, just in
Yeah.
general. But some. I think the major tech companies have come out and said that they would mandate watermarks when it comes to AI. I don't know if X has been one of them or not, but I know Meta did. I want to say Google was one of them. I could be wrong. So the only problem here is this is like voluntary mandates, and not everyone's gonna sign on. So I don't know. You already really shouldn't believe everything you see on the internet. Like you really shouldn't.
No.
So, but you're right. Like it's gonna cause chaos, and it wouldn't be that surprising, like at
It
all.
already has. There was this video I seen. It was an AI generated Tokyo, like you know how people walk, like videotape them walking through Tokyo and stuff, like for like the nice videos. Well, AI generated that, and then it was literally just the AI walking in Tokyo and just having like the actual image, and you couldn't even tell the difference. It was insane, and people were like, "Oh," people, and then the comments were just nothing but just scrolling. It was like, "How are we gonna tell the difference? What the hell's gonna happen? This is crazy." It was insane. People were already freaking out. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I've seen some of the video generators. They're pretty neat. I've messed with a lot of image generators. They're not quite there, but they're getting there. Did you guys see the rumor that so Biden did uh a video. I don't know what the hell to call it. Uh, after it was the first one he had done after he had dropped out, and oh, sorry, not that one. I'm talking about the one with Harris, Kamala, and she quote unquote accepted a call from Biden, and a lot of people are saying it was a recording or if it was AI produced um audio of Biden.
Fake Biden, AI Biden.
Yeah, so like
I
if
mean,
I'm
They
being
can't do
completely
that.
honest, I think it really was. I definitely was a recording or it was AI produced, just from like my experience messing with the technology. But I don't want to just like randomly jump on a
uh,
conspiracy
I'll
train.
have to hear it. I didn't hear it.
I mean, to be fair, either way, does it really matter that much?
It does not matter,
It
but
doesn't,
it
right?
it
But
should maybe worry people a little bit that
yeah,
that
no.
a party is jumping on that train as fast as this. I think it should be a little if it's true, should be a little worrisome that that's where we're going like right away.
Yeah,
I
but
would be a little worried.
again, that's just kind of like, an idea being floated, kind of conspiracy. There's no, like, I mean, to be fair, Biden sounds wacky half the time. Like, you can't tell how this guy's gonna sound. You call him on one day, he's like, "Hey guys, I'm President Biden." Call him fucking 2 hours later. Is it nappy time? Like,
Politicians be lip singing, lip
like
talking
it's very likely that
their speeches.
they if they maybe it was recorded, or maybe they were like, okay, does Biden sound good right now? Like, they're not gonna have him call in if he's like Vice President Trump. Like they're not gonna put him on unless they're 100% sure. Like, all right, they fucking gave him his go-go juice. Like, he's not gonna fucking do that. So I really think it's more so just like Biden has all these different states of, like, cognitive ability, um, and that happens with age. And it seems much more plausible to me. They only were gonna have him call in, or like maybe it's pre-recorded, but it seems like it would be, hey, he's gonna call in if he's doing good. If he's not having a good day, we're gonna axe that. We're not even gonna mention it. It's gonna happen. Like, that seems much more plausible to me. Of just them working around when Biden's doing good.
That's pretty funny. Either way, that's funny. I don't care if that's what they're doing or if they're using AI. I don't know which is worse, but it is funny.
No, I mean, Biden definitely isn't there cognitively. Like, I again said I
When
would
did you
probably.
notice? When did you notice? Is my question.
Oh, like, I think the 2020 election cycle, he seemed
Okay.
fine. It's definitely some point between now and then. I would be hard to pinpoint. I would say the last, like, year and a half, roughly, just ballpark range, it's been like very noticeable, like, cognitive decline. And I feel like it's really starting to show Trump having some as well. Like, his energy levels are way lower. Like, if you watch, like, he used to be much more hoorah kind of energy. He's kind of simmered down quite a bit. And
He did get shot. So I mean,
no, but
that might-
even before that, I mean, it definitely seems like Trump is having some kind of cognitive decline as well, which, I mean, to be fair, half of what the president done is just people under him doing stuff, and then him just kind of giving it the pass. I don't think he has to be able to run a marathon to be a good president, but it's I realistically, I would rather have a Republican candidate that also seems more competent, like McCain back when he was running. He seemed like, I wasn't a fan of McCain. I was still, pro Obama, but like like if he was president as a Republican, I wouldn't be in fear of my country, right?
So
And like
you're in fear of your country because you think Trump is in decline? Question mark.
partially, also partially because I think that his policy, his viewpoints, and a lot of his rhetoric is very extreme in some aspects.
Which
I'm
policies would you consider extreme?
I mean, immigration policies are like obviously a big one.
The
I
illegal
think,
ones or the like ban Muslim countries from immigrating?
I
Which
mean, just the whole fucking broad of it, pretty much. A lot of and a lot of people in those red states, illegal people are not like a giant majority of the population, but like they will utilize immigrants and use them for manual labor in a lot of those red states, and so a lot of people don't even in those states don't even want that. But aside from that, no, I just it it really feels like even just like as a head of a country, just as optically for our country to other countries, Trump just looks rough, man. He just looks bad optically.
so I
I
don't
mean,
think he's in. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
oh, he did make fun of his own hairdo. So I think
I
he's doing
don't.
pretty
I
good.
don't. Cognitively, I think he's fine. I have heard from some of my more international friends that he does not look as respectable um,
Yeah, I
compared
think
to
that's
Biden
kind of
when
what
it
I'm
comes to
saying.
other foreign leaders. So I thought was interesting. I disagree. I think his policies are fine, to be honest with you, especially the immigration ones. Like I think they're the perfect medium. Like I said, I think most Republicans. I don't think I know most Republicans want to see way harsher immigration laws than him, and the deporting of illegals thing, like I don't know, fucking do it, my guy. I don't. There's so much crime wrapped around it, like it's not good. Even if it's just one of them that comes through, like
I-
it's just unacceptable. Like you just can't have that. This is just crazy. I mean, we're Floridians, so I mean, here it's we get a lot of it. Obviously, Texas gets a lot of it. California gets a lot of it.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm originally from California, although where I reside now doesn't have nearly as much of like immigrants. But it really did feel like, I mean, I if I'm not mistaken, last time I've seen statistically like an immigrant is way less likely to be commit arrested for a crime than someone who's a native U.S. citizen. And yeah, the last that I've seen,
I mean, you might be right, but I just don't think it matters. Like I said, I think even if just one of them comes through and they commit a crime,
mm,
it's not good. It's not a good look. But like in general,
I
it's
agree.
called illegal immigration.
Yes, but
Like
just because something is
even if they
illegal
don't
doesn't
commit
necessarily
crimes,
mean right. But just because something is illegal doesn't necessarily mean that it's right or wrong, right? Because like weed
that's
is
what it
illegal in a lot of
means.
places. I don't really think weed should be. Weed is like a wrong. I've never smoked in my life. I'm not personally like I don't give a shit about weed, but like I don't think it should be illegal. You can have
But
regulations on it, same as like alcohol. But like other than that, like people shouldn't be living in prison for like years because of weed charges, right? And so like same thing with immigration. I think that immigration in the U.S. is just fucked. Period. In both ways. I don't think people should be crossing illegally, but I don't think there's proper systems in place for people to get in legally in a lot of ways. And so,
we take in the most amount of immigrants in the whole world. The
I
U.S.
mean
does every year. We take in the most.
that is what our country was founded on, though.
I know,
You
but
know,
that's like counter to your point. You said that like the system doesn't really work for it, but like it does. It's the best system in the world. We take in the most amount of
I
legal
just because we
immigrants in
take
the
in
world.
just because we take in the most doesn't mean it's not necessarily the best. I mean, we have a plethora of land, and yes, we have very crowded cities where
You're a
I think
commie. You're a commie.
that
That's right.
definitely. I mean, if we want to get real commie, let's talk UBI.
I I'm for UBI at some point. I'm for it.
Yeah, especially with AI the way it is,
Oh
like
yeah,
jobs are gonna get phased out. There needs to be some kind of backbone for the people.
we're not
Like,
quite there. We're not quite there anymore. I've
no,
like
no, but I think that as a country, we should really get that foundation started.
we did. That's what stimulus was. That's what stimulus check system was about. Was establishing a
Well,
UBI system. Now it's in place. True story. Now it's in
Where
place.
is UBI in place?
The stimulus system that they had
Well,
implemented
yeah,
during
stimulus
COVID,
the one time, but like that's not like
but that
a regular
system,
thing.
I know, but that system they put in place. Oh, well, it's also been tried in states. The UBI system has been tried in California and a couple other blue states. It's been tried. It's been done. A lot of states have been practicing with UBI.
That's good. I have not been following that too much.
Yeah.
It's not definitely not in my state. Fucking yeehaw, North Carolina. Fucking flip it, you swing state. But no. I mean, it is
UBI,
definitely.
for those who don't know, means universal basic income, and the theory
Mhm.
behind it is that once AI takes all the jobs, uh, obviously Americans will have to make money, and people will have to make money in some way, shape, or form. And so how it would work is that you would basically just get a stimulus check. Um, and so there's like some arguing factors about it, like let's say Biden's administration is in charge during a time of UBI or something like them. So they would probably like center some of that UBI towards minorities or probably minorities. Um, but I mean, like if you compare it to like Korea or Japan, they've kind of started some UBI systems. Same with China, they've started some like UBI systems for parents who are trying to start families. It's basically the same thing. So we're seeing UBI kind of like really perk up across the world.
Mhm.
Um, but we'll see it. That's just like the natural solution to the problem of people losing their jobs to robots. It is what it is.
I mean, it really does feel like a lot of the U.S. is very like anti-handout, kind of like I earned mine, they need to as well.
Hmm.
It feels like that's a much more popular rhetoric here than in other places. I feel like a lot of other countries and cultures, they're kind of like, I just want whatever's gonna be best for me. While here, it's kind of like, hey, everyone has to pull themselves up by the bootstraps. And obviously, that's not everybody. That might not even, that's probably not the majority even. But that's definitely, I feel like, a much more common rhetoric here that you see compared to other cultures. And so, if I feel like
Yeah.
adopting UBI is going to be really hard. It's going to be seen as like a commie thing. Any kind of socialism is immediately painted that way.
Well, I kind of agree, and this is one of the things, one of the reasons I don't hate Republicans, but I hate the right side is that they like tend to be really slow when it comes to adopting these systems with technology.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love Biden actually came out, I think early or like really early this year and talked about UBI. He didn't, I haven't seen any movements like enforcing it, but he basically, if I remember correctly, it was something like paying everyone $300 a year or something like it. So I mean, obviously it was a voter grab remark. Um, I don't know if there was any weight behind it. It'd be pretty hard to set some shit like that up or get it
Oh
through the
yeah.
House and Senate. But it has bothered me. Like one of the things that bothers me about the right is that they just kind of seem so slow when it comes to looking at technology and kind of understanding the direction that society is heading in. And on the other
Mm-hmm.
fences, the lefts are like so psychotic about it. They're just like, well, America's so great. Let's just open the borders and fucking take care of all the poor people. It's like, bruh, can we just get some kind of balance here, please?
Yeah. In my ideal, I think that you were mentioning like, UBI and, different places having different amounts. My thing would be in a perfect world. This is a spitball here, right?
Mhm.
I think there's a base level across the country,
Yeah.
and then if it's cost of living where you are, a very small boost to it, right? If you can't afford to live where you want to with the UBI, you are then going to have to move to a more, rural area where the cost of living is cheaper, where you're not going to have as many amenities around, or infrastructure. And so that kind of hopefully would let it balance itself out. You know, Also in terms of immigration, there's so much land that's unused in the U.S. I think definitely like making it more incentivized. Hey, if you're not a high paying, a high skill worker, that we're having immigrate for that reason. You know, there is these areas that you can potentially have that. Obviously, there would need to be infrastructure, and if there's these more migrant populated communities, that's going to be a whole another stack of issues. But I think that's definitely still better than the alternative of them coming illegally and then being unregulated uh, in comparison. But that's a whole different can of worms. I didn't fucking give
It
me
would be.
UBI.
It'll be fun to bring you back on, and we can fucking go back and forth on policy. Because that
Yeah.
would be fun. It would be a lot of fun for sure.
What's our time at now? What's the time check?
Yeah, we're at an hour 45. So
Oh shit! Let's bring some games in. We got 15 minutes. Games go.
yeah, some games. Talking about some games would be fun. So there's a new. I forget what it's called, but the internet is and browsers are kind of moving towards a new technology that would. I'm sure you guys remember Flash games. And like browser
Mhm.
games like addictinggames.com and RuneScape and blah blah blah. There's a new technology that would pretty much increase the graphics capability and processing capabilities in browsers. I forget what it's called. It's like Open Web 3 or some shit. I think that's what it's called. But yeah, so there's a dude who predicts that we'll kind of see a
A
re-rise.
renaissance.
Yeah, in games and
Let's go.
browsers. And I just
Armor
kind of
games congregate. Newgrounds rise up from the ashes.
yes, dude. Newgrounds was the fastest way to get a virus to your computer. That's all I remember it for.
Yo,
I remember Newgrounds for very different things.
Oh yeah, maybe the OG Twitter.
uh,
But
I mean, honestly, I think that's cool. I think that like right now for like the youth having like accessible, especially like with like free to play being kind of the mainstream for I think this like the younger generation, they're not really buying games as much. It's like Roblox and then like sometimes they're it'll be like Minecraft and a few other popular things, and then it's just like apps. Like that is like what the youth are playing now.
it's
And
true.
so like online browser games that are also
Completely dead.
definitely need to be like set up for mobile and tablet. Like if you can optimize it to work on both, you know I think there's definitely like a very large market to be had, that they could chip away at.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's really hard to compete with phone games. Phone games of like we'll just see a huge growth in phone games. Uh, very similar to what we've already seen. Phone games like they're just skyrocketing in popularity. I've seen a graph, but like it's so ridiculous. Phone games is like the biggest um revenue income fucking giver when it comes to games. Like it's not even close. Phone games are it's trillions and trillions of dollars. Like there's so many people on phone games, so it'd be really hard to directly compete. But I do miss the times of browser games when you could just fucking queue up some little nonsense that like you can now make in Scratch. You guys ever seen Scratch?
nope.
I heard it, not very familiar with it.
It's like programming 101 basically, and it's so easy to use that they like teach it in like kindergarten and shit, like not kindergarten, but like in elementary school. And
Yeah.
so like those flash games you used to play can be made by a fucking elementary schooler, and it's like not even hard. I actually made one at the start of the year. I made like a little zombie defense game when I was learning the program. Dude,
Did you do
it's
it in Scratch or in something else?
in Scratch, yeah.
I just looked it up. I definitely have seen Scratch
Yeah.
before and like people
Okay.
using it now. So yeah, that's yeah, no,
There's
it's so much more accessible than it was before, like every way. Tom, you're good though.
there's this website where this guy made where you get all of the old games. I think including Flash. I could be wrong, but there's like 30,000 games on there, which is Flash games, Game Boy Advance,
Oh my.
going to Nintendo 3DS, and some other thing. And so he's adding all of these into there, so you can actually access all of that within that website. I don't have the
That
website,
sounds
but
illegal.
it's
That
it
sounds
Yeah,
pretty
legal.
much
the
is.
Nintendo shit.
It pretty much is. It
Oh,
pretty
okay.
much is. I could be wrong. I don't know exactly what's on the website, but there's this website. It's pretty much is.
A
I think if
web-hosted
you'd be like
emulator.
emulator, pretty much. And so you don't have to download anything. You just click on the game. You can play it right then and there. You can even
Wow.
play
Wow.
the Mario 64 world.
I
It's
think
insane.
we're definitely reaching an accessibility age where like any kind of inconvenience will turn people away from something. So like I remember the saying of like piracy isn't a price issue. It's like an accessibility issue for the most part. Like people pirate stuff because it's it's hard to get sometimes, or sometimes the price of it. That's always a part of it. But like uh, nowadays, like people aren't really like they don't want to have to go around and like pirate shit because it's a pain in the ass. You have to go make sure you're doing stuff safely. You don't have to like do 20 steps. You just fucking load it up, ready to go. And so like even just the process of having to buy a game and download it is already a deterrent for some people. As minor as it can be, that stuff like really is starting to add up, and people really are thinking about that. Like what's my download size even for like mobile games? If you make a really big game, people aren't even going to be able to run it. Like, that's a factor. And so like these really small, quick games that are able to make good monetization, especially if they're able to run browser, on an app for a small download, you're able to, throw up some YouTube ads for it, blast it on TikTok a little bit. And like that's a lot of money nowadays. And I think that we're just gonna keep seeing more and more of that. Now, I don't know if you guys remember the release of Genshin Impact. We're now Genshin filled. Um,
Don't know
the
the
release
release,
of
but I played it.
Genshin, yeah,
Degenerates,
that
the
was
both
kind
of
of.
you.
No, I
I
played it
gave
a
up.
little bit, but
It's gross. It's just
I'm not big on Genshin.
Oh, okay.
I really like a lot of their stuff.
gross.
I think their music is phenomenal, but and the
Okay.
game looks great. I just don't really care for the gameplay loop. I don't like the monetization too much.
It's just the
It didn't
caption.
really sit for me, but they really like felt like they were the quality in the gotcha and mobile marketplace, and a huge step up from what we saw before. And there's a whole bunch of Genshin clones that have come out. There's a bunch of games, similar genre, and I feel like there's a lot of companies that have that market capital, the capital to be able to play with it, are now thinking, okay, Genshin has popped off. If we just make a Genshin clone, maybe we'll make a quick buck off of it. But there's still a large overhead for a game like that, and it's not really worth it in comparison to the kind of more traditional, easy produced online, game or mobile game. I think that there's really going to be this big push though of larger gaming companies really testing the waters with both gotchas and with both cross-platform across mobile and PC. Like that seems like a really big thing. Like I don't know if you guys remember Pokemon, the Pokemon MOBA. I can't even remember the fucking name of it.
Oh yeah, I know. Unity, Pokemon Unity, Unify. Hold on.
Unite, Pokemon Unite.
Unite, something like
Right, I
that.
think
Hold on.
it's Unite.
That one, like that game, I think would have fucking banged if it was on PC.
Yeah, Unite.
If they had that with crossplay for PC, I think that game would have done crazy numbers. Like
100%.
but they released only on, it was Switch first and then it came out mobile later, if I remember correctly. I think that like it was such a missed opportunity for that game. I think that like really getting accessibility across all platforms to be able to get that market for your game, really get the game out there. Hey, yo, friend from school, download this game. Aw, shit, I have a PlayStation. I can't. Like, that's really not good for your game. And also, PC audience is just the most hardcore. They have the sweatiest people. They're the most hardcore. They're also the ones that have the easiest time making content. Content production from PC games is so much more easy to do than the amount of people that have a capture card for their Switch. Every like one Nintendo creator, there is like 10 PlayStation creators, and for every PlayStation creator, there's like 100 PC creators. Like, I think not going into the PC market for a lot of these games is really bad, and I think, but also not going to the mobile market is really bad for their their revenue. Also, mobile spenders trend really fucking crazy.
Dude, they make so much money. I'm telling you, I gotta find the graph and pull it up. But like, the amount of money that is sunk into mobile games compared to any other genre, like it's just so not even close. Like, I mean, it is wild. They make like 10 times more amount of money compared to the next console. Like, it is just our platform. It's so not even close. That market is
Yeah.
so huge. But
And so I think in like I'm gonna say like prediction wise 3 to 5 years, there's gonna be some really big gaming companies that are really gonna push these like big like like Genshin Impact quality games out that aren't just going to be open world kind of like Zelda Breath of the Wild clones. It's going to be like different genres that are kind of they have to be innovators to really hit that market like Genshin did, right? And I think gaming companies now realize, one, huge fucking profit margins for live service game on multi-platform, and then also like that's just what's becoming more popular now, while traditional gaming, like, it can still pop off like an insane amount, and that's not going to go away. Like there is I'm trying to think, there has been a game recently that like did crazy numbers, and it was insane quality. And I'm trying to remember what it was. I mean, Elden Ring, first of all, like, you know, there you go, traditional game,
Uh,
single player, does crazy numbers because it's just a good game,
It's
right?
really it's like high quality. I would actually think. I mean, I haven't played Genshin Impact, so I can't really give a good opinion.
It's
I do
quality
think.
for genre. It's quality.
Okay, fair enough. I do think those are outliers. When it comes to gaming in general, because like no matter which platform it's on, as if it's quality, it'll probably make money and get played. They So I don't know if it's okay to compare them, but like how many Genshin clones come out and they just fucking flop, or like
Oh
you
yeah,
play them
no,
for just a week and it's just over. And it's the same with um
traditional
Elden Ring
games.
clones, but like
Yeah, no, we've been seeing like a trend of that as well, of like, these gaming companies pumping out the 20th installment of a franchise, unless you are the only one that this is different for is sports. Sports is different. That's a whole different fucking beast. I don't know if you follow
L.
sports games at all. I'm not a sports game fan at all, but
no.
their demographic and their market is very different than traditional gaming.
Mhm.
And so, aside from sports, just pumping out these rehash of the same thing but slightly different, you are only going to bleed away at your fan base and your player base, because nobody's going to have this big giant boom for the next installment of the same thing, and you're paying $60 for it. That's just not the market anymore. So I think that there was a large just kind of rehash of clones just kind of trying to chase the market. I think new ideas
Yeah.
and big quality is
Where
definitely going to be something that, like,
where are they though? I'm waiting for the
and
big
that's
one,
the thing.
and I
I'm
can't
really
tell if
They're
it's
thinking
not
age or not. Like I
they've got
feel
to
like
be cooking
zero.
up. They've got to be cooking. I think that in like 3 to 5 years, there's gonna be some big drops of those. And those companies are gonna be like sink or swim by it.
my fingers are crossed for AI. I'll go on about AI for hours, but like my fingers are crossed. I don't think we'll see anything significant in gaming until AI and PCs really take off, and then we'll kind of see some really amazing hardcore shit, like movie quality stuff going on. But man, it's been so long, and I hear a lot of my friends say the same thing. But it's been so long since like I've picked up a game and I just couldn't put it down, and I'm just so locked in, multiplayer or not. And I'm just like, this is so new and crazy, and the novelty is wild. I feel like everything we see now in play is just like it's just a rehash of something beforehand, and like at most you get a high quality version of what we've already seen before, which sucks. So yeah, I don't know. I'm waiting on that that
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be anytime soon. My guesstimate, like, is got to be at least like 3 to 5 years, because the game production time that we have right now, I don't think we're gonna see like. There's gonna of course be some coming out here now. I know, the Marvel Overwatch game, that one actually looks solid. Like, they actually put effort into it, and you can tell. And that one looks like it might do numbers. And then, but aside from that, like, there's not many big things dropping. I think in like 3 to 5 years, I personally, this is like a prediction. I could be completely wrong. I don't know what's going on in the studios, but just off of like the market trends and these companies seeing the success of these big games that are focusing on that quality, hopefully there will be innovation. But aside from that, I think quality and like the grand scale of things is really going to be focused in that time frame.
Did you
maybe
see what E3 posted or is coming out with? They're just coming out with nothing.
they
Um,
came out with
so
nothing.
yeah,
They dropped
They
so
nothing.
did. Did you see what they
they dropped
dropped? It was
nothing.
amazing.
Absolutely,
They dropped
they
literally
dropped
nothing.
they dropped literally nothing. Like, it's insane. Nothing good, all copies, and it's insane. But also, the reason why mobile's doing so good is that all of the revenue is all nothing but ads. And PC prices are insane now. You're spending $70 to $100 of game quality that's nothing but the same. So the reason why Elden Ring is doing so good and keeping the quality, because they just came out with a nice DLC, $40, very cheap and very easy. But the game itself, I think it was what, 50, which is pretty cool. But mostly these newer games, like Life of Pi, was $70. Like, who's gonna pay $70 for a game that's just played for like 5 hours and just have no story?
It also
That was
depends on,
actually that was a pretty good game though. Go ahead.
yeah, no, it really also depends on, like, if you're a game that's dropping for $70 and has microtransactions. like that's so fucking whack. I think that if you're doing a live service game and you want to do, some form of microtransaction for whatever reason, ethical and, my personal opinions aside, it just seems like bad business strategy to be dropping a $70 game with that in it. If you're doing a game that has microtransactions, your goal should be acquire users, you know, and then get goodwill, make product that they want to buy, right? League, that's what they've done for years. You know, they had the game, they made skins. People are like, shit, you don't get any benefit from buying the skins. You don't have like this huge outrage of like people
Some of them
dropping
do. I
the
Blitzcrank.
Ari skin, had a little bit of a controversy due to the pricing, but like and they're able to even get away with it just because how big they are, right? But like these other companies that aren't even a fraction of that, they're doing the shenanigans that are like pay to win stuff, or not accessible to get into, high price point to entry. I really think that business wise, like I think the gaming industry has started wising up about like, okay, we gotta stop fucking around with this shit. Like either one or the other, free to play or paid. Like there was this other Overwatch style game that dropped. I don't even know the name of it. I'm sure that it wasn't nearly the budget of Overwatch or the Marvel game, but I don't even know the fucking name of it. Like I'm like a hardcore gamer, I would say. I don't know the name of this fucking game, and like it was like I think there was a $40 to $60 buy-in for it. Like no, like that just
My
seems
God.
stupid.
Yeah, I don't. I'm in a different boat. I actually don't think we'll see anything good come from major developers for quite a while. I they're in a very risk-free mentality right now. So all they want to do is make shit that's already been done, and we don't see new stories at all. And if we do, it's just rehashed gameplay. What I
Mm-hmm.
do expect to see some quality stuff from, or at least fun stuff, is from indie developers. And the rise of indie developers has been fucking so awesome in terms of gaming, at least for like party games. It's been so fun.
Big mode. Big mode.
Yeah, big mode.
Big mode.
I guess real quick game recommendations before it gets too late. Core Keeper. It's like kind of like Terraria meets Stardew. The full release is coming out in a month or so, roughly. And I gotta say, that game has like content to price. It's a one-time purchase. What is like $20, I think, for full price. I don't know if they're gonna change it on release for like like full price, or they're gonna sale or whatnot. But like, I know that goes down to sale like $10. It's a great game, and there's like so much more content in it than a lot of these AAA games that have come out recently that are kind of just like rehashing the same thing with, but like it's just nice looking 3D models. Like that's kind of it. Like I think most gamers nowadays, they really care about the core gameplay loop
Yeah, the gameplay.
or like the
Yeah.
social interaction that you're able to get with it,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
So
those two
like
things have
those are the
become.
two main things that I think really like get people like to stick with a game.
I agree.
And so
I
Core
agree. I
Keeper, shout
agree.
out to that game. Multiplayer, it's kind of like Stardew X Terraria. Um, it looks great. It plays fun. Full game comes out in a month. That's shout out to that game.
Yeah, I suspect survival and like tower defense like games will be more popular, similar to Helldivers. Games like that, I think, as like the AI takes over the
Mm,
NPC sector, I think it'll just be so fun for um like you to queue up with a party of four and just take on the hordes of zombies. I think people are gonna fucking go ape shit with it. Like that to me, that just sounds like the most fun, and that was kind of like why people got into gaming in the first place. It was always like Halo when you were fighting the aliens and shit, like they were coming at you. And it felt like you actually had to play. And the same with Call of Duty, right? Like you're in the war zone, you're running around. A lot of that like intro to gaming had to do with you versus NPCs, and
left dead.
if you can queue with a party, like it was 10 times more fun.
Yeah.
And I think we'll see a return to that, and that like I am just so excited for that because for me nostalgia for
Now,
like
now I completely I feel you on that. Now, do you keep on talking about AI for NPCs,
hmm
and like for hordes and enemies and stuff?
yeah
Um, Obviously horde enemies have like there's a quantity there, and so any AI would then have to be like very like streamlined, and You have to really worry about like computing power and stuff like that for that. What I like, so if we're really thinking about AI usage in games and how that might change the landscape, I think, people love the social aspect of gaming, and they like, having like, I don't know if you feel this way when you're playing a game sometimes. Sometimes I want to feel like I got a team that has my back. I don't want to have a high stress game, like I'm playing a horror game by myself, 1v100. Like I like to have something reliable. I think AI with like delegation, so like you can have like a squad, for example, if you're playing FPS, having an
Sure.
AI that is able to be in your squad,
Yeah.
that you can kind of be like, hey, do this task, and having that kind of like, oh shit, my AI will actually like, cover my back.
Oh yeah.
Like that seems like the dream use of AI. I don't just
So
like, and
are
this is
you
like
so
off the
lonely?
top of
Like
my
what's
dome.
going on there, buddy? I'll keep up with you.
Oh,
Don't, you don't need AI friends, buddy. I got you. Don't worry.
well, you joke about that, but realistically, there's a lot of fucking loner gamers. Like that genuinely is a
No,
thing.
no, no, for sure. That is another side of the use is that, and like we'll probably see the rise of that first because chatbots are like people don't realize the rise of chatbots and how crazy it's going to be, but
All
we're
right,
getting
that's
there really quickly.
all right. Before we run on too long, I think that's kind of like my prediction for like AI in game. Do you guys have any other ones for like a core usage, like kind of like genre defining? So like mine is like squad shooters. I think that isn't really much of a thing. Like especially single player. I think that AI could change that as a genre. Do you guys have any genres you think could pop up, like a new genre that like kind of like completely new that functions based with AI as kind of like a core thing?
um, I think it'll change a lot of genres, but a whole new genre.
Yeah, I mean, squad shooters are like already a thing, but like I'm thinking like squad versus like PVE.
So
You
you
see what
think
I'm kind of thinking?
killing floor 2, stuff like that. So where
It
you just have a
potentially,
horde and nothing but AIs on your team instead of
potentially, yeah. And so you can kind of like tell them like, okay, hey, this person do this task. Also, I think another one could potentially be like city management or like sim games. You can then hire people and then kind of like delegate
Oh
tasks to
yeah.
them.
Okay, so not
That's
like
another
not whole
one.
new genres, but how it'll
No,
influence
I
the
mean
different
this.
genres.
Every genre has kind of been like it's. I think every genre has pretty much been like dabbled in a little bit, but like that's a completely new usage of it. Of like, hey, you're hiring people, you're delegating tasks. Kind of like that would change the way the sim genre plays. Like that's like a core change to the gameplay. If you're playing a squad shooter and you're like shouting out orders to your teammate, your soldiers, like
Oh
that's
yeah.
a new way to like
No,
that's a
no,
different thing.
100%. I agree, and the first one that comes to mind is Civ to me. Civ 6, Civ
Mm-hmm.
7. I don't think we'll get in Civ 7, but like maybe in Civ 8, where like you can. I mean, you already kind of like you can't really talk shit in those games, but imagine you could like flame. You can talk mad
Gandhi.
shit to an enemy, and then like turn to the Brazilian leader and like, hey, bro, you come in from the right and I'll come in from the left. We'll take this guy out. Like,
That's a good one. No, I like
yeah,
that.
yeah. I
I
do look
actually
forward to
that
being able
sounds
to
sick.
interact with NPCs in games a little more um constructively or
Tom, you got one off the dome?
one that I think of is I play Rocket League. So there people are this was happening last year, I think. Last year, they were actually using AI to play ranked for them. So you would play not kidding. Dude, these bots were like high ranked players like SSL. We'll do champ GC, like high like pro player bots will just come in and just destroy these people
Do you
and
think
just boost their games for them. It's
you think
crazy.
script is the new
dude,
genre?
you and I were thinking
Yeah.
3D chess. Tom's thinking 4D. He's like, why do you even play the game at all? He's like, the AI can just play the game for me.
And dude, it was insane. It was the biggest thing that
I
just
think
came out with it.
my
It was
favorite game
insane.
is actually Netflix, guys.
Actually, I like watching Netflix while my AI just
Yeah.
plays Rocket League for
Hey,
me.
I
You
just
guys
plays
are dumb.
the COD for you.
You guys aren't ranked 100? What, is your AI fucking not running
It
optimally?
was insane. Well, blame the mods because mods will build these bots to help you be better and play against these like instead of playing like actual
Oh,
players
yo,
who look at
that's a
you.
great one
And
actually.
so they put these
Mods?
bots into the game, which is insane.
That's so
No,
funny.
actually modding community and like having like imagine you have an
Off
idea for a
record,
mod for a game that you play. having an AI able to make this mod for you, that seems like such a sick, addition to a game. You can completely customize the game that you want to, just using AI to make a mod. That seems super cool.
Well, you get into like coding and stuff with AI, which to be honest, I think it's slightly
Not very
lackluster so
proficient
far.
at. Yeah, no. This is definitely down the pipeline. I don't
Yeah.
think this is like we're talking like future stuff here. This is
AI,
like
AI making games itself.
oh no, now there's just AI making AI. Oh shit, Skynet. Fuck guys.
Yeah. But it's been fun. It's been real. Is there anything you guys like to say before we end here?
That was pretty cool. Thank you for having me. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, thanks for coming on and
Yeah.
to chatting.
Hopefully nobody gets assassinated by the
Yeah,
time
fingers
the
crossed.
next one comes out or this goes live.
Yeah, yeah, dude, for real. Oh my lord. Well, thanks again.
Yes, sir.